So I'm still still slightly sedated, but as of today, I am no longer a peritoneal dialysis patient. I have made the switch to hemodialysis because that catheter was a nightmare. It brought me nothing but misery from the time I got it. And it's not anybody's fault. I'm not doing this video to put the blame on anybody and to say it was this person's fault or that person's fault. That's not what it's not what this is about. It's not the blame game. But I'm just telling you from my experience with peritoneal dialysis, it just did not work. And with some of these videos that you'll see talking about dialysis, some forms of dialysis just don't work for certain people. So I've made the transition over to hemodialysis. Unfortunately, I had to get a catheter put in my neck until my fistula in my arm grows out enough where I can transition into using that, and then I'll see where I can go from there. But this was very much like hemodialysis is it. It's my final shot. Like, I can't go back to peritoneal, nor do I want to go back to peritoneal dialysis. I can't go back to peritoneal dialysis. I just can't do it. Like, after everything that I've been through dealing with this, and this will be my 5th or 6th major surgery trying to correct PD, and it just did not work. Everything in my body was physically rejecting PD, and it did not work. No matter what they did, no matter what techniques they tried, no matter what machines they used, it did not matter, because it did not work. Not a single thing. And we gave it the old college try, and it just wasn't happening. So I'll give you an update on what's going on with the hemo, and hopefully this goes better than the peritoneal dialysis ever did. I apologize for the light fluctuation, but I'm not a YouTube video maker. I'm just a dude with a camera phone, just talking into a camera, documenting the nightmarish journey that I've had with this whole ordeal. I've said this before in other videos, like, this ain't all sunshine and rainbows. This ain't no TED Talk talking about the splendors of how great this is going. This is not it. Like, what you're looking at is real. There is a real side to this that is not easy. And this is what, not just myself, but this is what some people have to deal with every day, on a daily basis. And I just want to cover as much as people expound upon the wonders of dialysis, and how great it is to get pumped full of fluids and have your organs stretched all out of shape. And I talk about how great that is. There's also another side to it that I don't feel is represented. And it's not always about being miserable for me here. But when it works good, then you get those stories. But there should also be the side where if it doesn't work good, somebody needs to be honest about what that entails. And I think the breaking point, and I bet you And I don't know. Nobody fucking watches these videos. So, what was the breaking point? Like, what was it? Like, what was it that made peritoneal dialysis so bad? Well, the fact that they fill you up with all this fluid, they're filling you up with like 2 milliliters, 2,000, 2, like, liters. Like, this, like, think of somebody taking 2-liter sodas and then filling you up inside with them. Right? Think about that. Think about what that does to your internal organs. Think about what that would feel like. And then having them not be able to remove it for days. That's what it was like. Every time they tried it, they would just fill me up with fluids, and then they'd have no way getting it out. Now, when I say they, I'm talking about PD nurses, the PD nurses at the hospital. No way getting it out. Luckily for me, I still have some residual kidney function, so I can sort of urinate some of it out, but not all of it. So who was stuck on that? Me. I was. I was the one that would get sort of stuck on that deal. So they would just, at the PD clinic, they'd fill you up and be like, oh, we can't get it out. All right, fuck you. Bye. Go home. That's your problem now. Oh, really? Oh, you can't get it out? Okay, okay, that's cool. That's not our problem. We got this barbecue that we got to go to. So, you got to go to the hospital, bruh. That's on you. Then I'd have to deal with that. We'll just give you this and then we'll try tomorrow. But in the meantime, I'm miserable. And I'm not saying that that's every PD nurse. That's not true. Because there was one PD nurse in particular, and I want to take this time to talk about her in particular. This woman, and I don't want to say her name on the internet. I don't know how she would feel about that. But this woman cared so much, and she did everything that she could to try to help me in every way that she possibly could help me, while all these other nurses at this clinic treated me like a customer. She was the only person that actually treated me like a real person. She was the only person that would try to come up with solutions to my problems, trying to troubleshoot, trying to make me as comfortable as possible. And she was the only one. She was the only one. And I won't ever forget, I never forget that kind of consideration, that kind of kindness, because especially in the healthcare profession, it's becoming more and more rare that you actually have people that work in the healthcare profession that actually care about the patients and not just the paycheck. Because in my opinion, every time a healthcare provider goes to work and they don't give a shit about their patients, they're cashing checks on your pain, my anguish. They're spending money on the backs of your suffering, my suffering. And they don't care. They don't care. As long as they get that paycheck, that's all that matters to them. And they don't care if they treat you like a customer at a drive-thru. And once I actually got to the clinic, I actually started to, I saw the inner workings of get them in, get them out. Get them in, get them out. Get them in, get them out. Who cares if they have peritonitis? Send them to the hospital. Get them in, get them out. Who cares if this guy can't get the fluids out that we put into him, that we continuously keep pumping into him? Get them in, get them out. And I think the breaking point was my stomach split open. And I'm not talking about in any sort of like alien type of way. A chest burster didn't burst out of my chest and go screeching down the hallway. You know, it wasn't like that. But my stomach started to leak. My stomach started to leak peritoneal fluid. The same peritoneal fluid that they pumped into me that I was telling them about before. So I got sugar water just leaking out of my belly button. And I think that was it. I think that was the time I was done. That was it. Like, that was it. I was done. Like, I could not, like, no, I couldn't do it. I can't do it. So then, after that, they sealed up the tear. Then put a new catheter in. Then immediately wanted to try dialysis again. And then guess what happened? You guessed it. It did not work. The catheter still didn't work. This was surgery number 4. 3 or 4. I don't know which. Still didn't work. I did everything that I could to avoid getting a catheter in my neck. I really did. But it was unavoidable. The PD was not working. So I needed a way in order to be able to get dialysis. Because I can't not get it. Because if I don't get it, I'm going to die if I don't get it. That's not hyperbole. Like, if I don't get the dialysis, I am going to die. So I made an executive decision. I said, okay, it's either hemo or this is it. It's either hemo or nothing. Because I ain't going back. I'm not going back to peritoneal. I can't do it. Like, this is getting ridiculous. How could three surgeries and this thing not work? I'm going to clinic. I'm going to the clinic. They're hooking me up to the machines, and it's not working. They're hooking me up to this machine. They're hooking me up to that machine, and it's not working. None of this stuff is working. Despite people's best effort or lack thereof, it's just not happening. So I had to make a decision. Thus far, I've been taking other people's ideas into consideration. That was the advent of me getting the PD catheter in the first place, taking a recommendation. Because the person that recommended it to me was under the impression that I would be a good candidate. And I have no reason to disbelieve this person, because I know that they have my best interests at heart. It's just sometimes this stuff works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's somebody's fault, sometimes it isn't. In this case, this is not anybody's fault. It's just, I'm just a victim of circumstance here. Of like, man, this really didn't work. And with me, I'm sort of an all or nothing type of person. It's either all or it's nothing with me. It's either everything, or it's either gonna absolutely work or it's gonna absolutely fail, and there is no in between. And this situation with this PD catheter was no different. So now I'm on hemodialysis. And I want to be hopeful, but I know that hope for me is like a bullet to the head. And I don't want to be. I don't want to be hopeful. I really don't want to be hopeful. But this hemodialysis, this has got to work. This is the only other option I have. This has to work. I have no other options.
Here, you want to look? Here, you.
Seen the answer.
Okay.